This conference will now be recorded.
All right, guys, welcome to our workshop on print patterns. As always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So let me talk for a second on what we're going to be going over. Essentially, what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to attempt, well, not really attempt, it's going to happen, but I'm going to try to teach you how to trade in an hour. All right, and when I say teach you how to trade, I want to kind of put a disclaimer out there. Everything that we're going to learn today, guys, can you learn how to trade within 1 hour and one workshop? Is that possible? No, there's lots of other variables that come into these different type of things, but I'm going to give you the core concept of everything to build on that. The foundation, if you don't understand what I'm going to go over today, you don't know how to trade. So I'm going to teach you so much. You're going to see instant, and then obviously some of you guys were in last class. Some of you guys have watched the recordings of the last class. And in a nutshell, basically what I'm going to be doing is, like I said, I'm going to teach you how to trade. There's always exceptions to rules, though, and we're going to talk about that. So first off, we have to understand before we can do anything within, and I can teach you anything, you have to understand the parts of a trade. What are the parts of a trade? This is the number one place we have to start. So there's a few parts. Some of you guys have been in classes, some of you haven't, but let's go. What are the parts of a trade? Okay, our price target. Why is our price target so important? Without price target, we can't do anything. Why do we need to know what our price target is? Also, guys, as you know, I don't like PowerPoints. I won't do them. I every once in a while I do, but I hate them. Okay, we're gonna do this all live, and so make sure you have a pen and paper and you have notes. Take lots and lots of notes. Yeah, it sets our stop expectations. If we don't know how much we can possibly make, how in the world can we decide how much we're willing to lose? Okay, a 20-cent trade, if you're willing to lose 20 cents on, that's literally, it's a formula for failure. It's impossible. It can't happen that way. Okay, and remember 1-4, 1-5 ratio. So what does that mean for anybody that doesn't know? If I can make $1, my price target is $1 away, I can lose between 20 and 25 cents. Why is there a difference? Why is there 20? Why is there 25? Well, the higher the percentage, a little bit more that you'll allow it to go. And the lower the percentage, you really want to keep that stop a little bit tighter. But at a max, if the stock tells you it has the possibility of moving $1 for your trade, what is the max you can ever lose per dollar? Let's all say it. We should all know it. What's the number? 25 cents. Anything to make $1, anything over 25 cents doesn't make it just doesn't make risk versus reward sense whatsoever. So price target is number one. Okay, we have to know what our price target is before we can do anything. Now, what does that come back to? Well, controlling prints. Our controlling prints are what controls us ever looking at being able to get into a trade. Hence controlling prints. It's controlling prints because they control the stock. But at the end of the day, controlling prints are everything. If we do not have a controlling prints, do we have a trade? Ever? All say it. Let's make sure that we're active here. If we don't have controlling prints, will you ever have a trade? Never, 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 never. Does that mean that you could get some real great off-level prints and take a trade? Yeah, you can. But guess what? Once you're consistent, you're making tons of money, I don't give a shit what you do. Okay, for your rules, if you are not consistently making enough money to live your life on trading alone, you follow the rules. Okay, after that, guess what? God bless you. That means you know what's going on and you take things. But as of right now, okay, put yourself in a category. You're either in a category of making tons of money, and when I say tons could be, it's very ambiguous. That could be tons of money for someone could be $500 a day. Tons of money for someone else might be $50,000 a day. Who knows? But without controlling prints, there's just nothing. There's no type of trade. Okay, so we know based off of our trigger and our price target how much we're willing to lose and where it's coming from. Right? Is there anything else? So we have our stop loss. We have our price target, which sets up our stop loss. Our entry, of course, entry. What do we enter on? I'm not going to be talking about it much whatsoever, going out through these classes, but what do we base excuse me, I'm not going to talk too much about triggers because we should all know trigger is price, action, and volume, but it's based off of our trigger. Where we get in, the trigger is always the bottom of the trigger is what? What does that tell us? What does that tell us? Yeah, probably a good spot for a stop loss because the trigger basically tells us it's time to make money. So if they tell us it's time to make money, but then bring it under the time to make money, we're pretty much, that's the end of our trade. We know that's where the smart money started it. So if they started it there, we know there's a market maker there. It acts as a great support system, a great support for for your trade. But also it also shows you if it goes underneath, more than likely your trade is dead. Okay. In order to be successful at trading, can you ever not cut losses at that exact number? Discipline is key here. Can you ever allow your stop loss to continue after you made your game plan? Can that happen? Should that happen? Never, ever, 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 ever. You will fail. All right. So we got that part down. Does everyone understand what the parts of a trade are? Any questions before we continue on our way? Beautiful. Okay, next thing, personality. So there's two different types of personality. There's a personality of a stock, which we're going to talk about right now, and then we're going to talk about print personality. These key concepts are going to tell you how to use the print patterns we're going to talk about in a second. Okay, so personality of a stock. I'm going to pull up JMIA, and I have this up because this is going to be a great example that we're going to be using coming into it. But JMIA, okay, when I say personality of a stock, stocks move in two different ways. What are the ways stocks move? And forget about consolidation because consolidation is technically going to fall into these two different categories. There's two things stocks do. Number one, okay, exception and rule followers, absolutely, but we're gonna get a little bit even more in depth into that. Okay, there's two ways that stocks move. What are they? Well, up and down. Yes, they could go sideways though, so that's technically not the correct answer. Stocks move off building and or time to make money. There's only two situations that stocks move from. It's either time to make money or there's building. Okay, and I'm going to pick on Eric for a second. Eric and I did a coaching this morning. We kind of figured out exactly what his problem was. Okay, but I want you to understand something. Understanding the personality of a stock. If we go from what's the best way for you to literally know what a stock's going to do from today till next Wednesday, 1 week from now? What's the best way for you to see what a stock does? That's it. You just watch it. Watching a stock is the best piece of information you get. I can tell you on Wednesday after pulling up a stock exactly what it did for a week, can I? So understanding how stocks move give us a huge advantage. Let's talk about the personality of a stock. So if a stock is technically only moves off building and or money time, what are the two things that we need to look at when we're looking at the personality of a stock? Come on, we know. Well, volume's not wrong. You need to know volume, but when we're looking at a chart, so right now, JMIA, forget about prints, forget about anything. We're just talking about the personality of a stock. I don't care what its print personality is. I don't care what anything is. We're just looking straight here on this chart. Okay, so if stocks move based off building and based off money time, what are the two things that we need to be able to understand of a personality of a chart? God, just say it. Come on, type it. Building and money making time. Very simple. So let's use our first example, JMIA. What is its personality? So simple. Personality does not show building, and when it builds, it's very quick. Now, we're going to talk about the same exact stock, and when we come back to it, we're going to talk about certain prints that happen, and I'm going to show you exact examples because I want you to honestly, when you're done with this workshop, I want you to understand how to trade black and white. So personality does not show building. Do we want to take positions for building? No. Because if it's showing you, the best way to know what this stock has done up until now is to look at it. Okay, I can see at every point besides this morning, every time it got any type of, bigger prints at levels, what happens? Barely nothing. Really not much of a pullback at all, ever. So if the stock is not pulling back and it's showing us it's not pulling back, do we want to trade it pulling back? No. Do we want to trade it going towards the prints? Yes. So understanding the building, what type of stock it is, and understanding building versus money time is going to help us decide what type of trade to take based off the prints we see. Okay, so let's bring up another stock. I don't care what it is. ANCP, what do we have here? What does it show us? Building or more money time? What does it show us? Building or money time? Building. Easy one, right? It's literally sitting in a consolidation. If a stock's in consolidation, is it money time or is it building? I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. Consolidation means building. So it's showing us because it's consistently sitting here building. So what are our best trades to take in this? A pullback trade or a long trade if a stock is showing us only building? Pullback. Very simple. Now, guys, this is just personality. This trade, you'd be an idiot if you were to take anything coming from there. But I want you to understand, if it's in building and showing us building, the better trade's going to show us building. Now, it's not moving anywhere, but I want you to understand just by looking at a stock. MTC, I'm just going to go down the list. I could care less. MTC, what's it showing us? Money time or building? And building, guys, could be to the downside or upside, doesn't matter. But it's showing us building, right? So let's also think about this for a second. If this stock's, let's say, it had beautiful prints at 1075 that it could pull up to, what's the personality going to change to when it's time to make money? Is it going to be like kind of float away, or are we going to see some huge volume and big price action? What's it going to look like if this stock runs up to its highs of 278? We don't even need to know anything else. We know this. In order for it to come back up, statistically speaking, the higher percentage, it's going to change entirely. So if you get some nice little price action with some nice, let's call it, let's say 500 or 600,000 shares. Is that money time, guys? Is that breaking us out of building? Dramatic. Great word, Tracy. It's going to be dramatic. So if we get 500, 600,000 shares with some price action, does that mean it's a trade back towards the upside having beautiful prints at 1075? No. Does not. That's how they get you trapped. Because in order for this to start running, we're going to see it. It's going to go on that run. And going on that run means it's going to have enough room to continue back up. So it's literally just enticed. We know what it needs to look like. Let's move to the next one. NBAC, 2.6 million shares. Building or money time? Well, guess what? Not enough volume. Not even going to look at it. NBAC, building or money time? What has the stock shown us? Now we're going to get a little bit more intricate. What's this stock showing us? So it's showing us that there's a lot. It's showing us both. But when it's money time, is it money time? Based off of what we've seen here. Because it gets the prints, it pulls back, but then it gives us money time. We have money time towards the prints. Because you got to think, if a stock is always just building, most of the best trades are going to come from the building. Not from money time until money time actually comes. And then like we just talked about in our last example, it's going to change completely. Rich, when you say prints, are you referring to the symbol, bid, tick, class? When I talk about prints, I'm talking about time and sales. The actual buy and sell orders. These are what prints are. I'm sorry. I mean, that's, sorry to just skip over and assume, but yes, prints right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we know there's money time. Still consolidation until breaks double top. No, well, technically we're out of consolidation. Okay, there's many consolidations without. So like this is a consolidation, now we're out of consolidation. This is consolidation, now we're out of consolidation. You see what I mean? Consolidation, out of consolidation. But out of consolidation shows us that we have the ability to trade it for money time. Because there's two things that happen, okay? Two things that market makers do, two ways that the market actually moves or stock actually moves. Okay, money time or building. So we have to be able to decipher, okay, if they're only showing building, what are the best type of trades going to be? Pullbacks or towards the prints? Pullbacks. If the stock's showing that it's consistently having money time, should we look for pullbacks or should we wait for the pullback to happen and look for the trade towards the prints? Make sure you have this written down. This is a big key point. Trade towards the prints. Very simple. We go back over to JMIA, and it's funny because in mRNA, this happened to us at 105 this morning when we were doing our coaching. But right here, 35 is a big number. The only time in a stock that shows its pullbacks don't happen, that I'm going to trade it towards a pullback, would be at what type of number? If you don't have this written down, write this down immediately. Psych levels are the best spots for stocks to come to reality. Is JMIA right now? Is it within any reality? Just pushing up. Look at its range. Look at how it moves. No, there's no reality here. It's just pushing. But I'm sure as hell if it's not at a psychological level, no, sure as hell I'm not taking the trade. 37.50, look perfect. Nice big pullback. But when you look at the actual levels themselves and as it's coming up, if it's not at a psychological level, you really don't get anything. 32.50, nice pullback. We come up under 35, which is, but as we come back down, we pull back underneath 35. But you see that? But in JMIA, unless you're an advanced trader, should you be looking for pullbacks or should you be looking for trading towards the prints? And that's just forget about anything else. Just look at the chart. Look at what the chart tells us. Should we be looking for towards the prints? There's no question. And if you do take a pullback trade, what does that tell you about the time frame you're going to be in your trade? What does it tell us about the time frame? It's going to be real short. Okay, very short exposure. That's simple. So when the trade happens, you better start taking stuff off. We know all of that without looking at any prints, without looking at any volume, without looking at anything. We just know. Why do we know? Because they're telling us. That's what the greatest part about a chart is that literally they can a chart be falsified? Can a chart ever be false? Nope. Can't happen. The chart just does what the prints say. So it can't be faked. So when we see what's happening, okay, and we get great prints and it's not showing us real, that's what its personality is. This is why it's such a great example, because this is an exception, correct? Looking at today, JMIA, is it an exception? Sure as hell is. Do exceptions warrant pullback or pull-up trades? For the most part, if they're not at psychological levels. They do not. So just looking at the chart is actually telling us which 1 through 4 trade is going to be the highest percentage without needing to know anything else. All right, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but is everyone clear? Would anything change if the volume wasn't consistent all day? Example, if we went into a dip? Not really, because out of that dip, okay, what would our expectations be? Coming back to the prints, wouldn't it? Still going to follow the same exact thing. Now, if volume really started to get low, more than likely, it's probably not trading so well. When volume gets low, you start to see sell off, and then it comes back in. So volume definitely does have, a big part. But remember, that's a class for another day. What I'm trying to do right now is teach you how to trade within 1 hour. But great question, Maddie. Absolutely great question. Okay, so are we all good about how to read a chart and see, are they pulling back or are they not pulling back? Are they going towards prints or are they not going towards prints? Are we all clear? If not, I could do a few more examples. If you want that, please let me know. I will find a few more things for you. But if everyone's clear, we get to move on. Good to go? Good. Beautiful. All right. Now, print personality. What's print personality? What is print personality? Can you guys hear me? Check, check. Check, 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 check. Okay, perfect. I don't know what just happened, but I thought I lost you. Okay, so what print personality is? All print personality is the average of what a market maker shows for a move. Okay, showing a position, showing I'm either building to make money, okay? Or I'm getting in to actually make money. So how do we find print personality? Oh, it's so simple. What we do is we look at greater than 1,000. Do I give a shit about the bursts and the amount of bursts of retail prints that come into a stock when looking to learn how to looking to trade it? Do I care? Nope. Means nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what I do is I go over here and I look at my time in sales, and basically what my time in sales is going to tell me is what the average print personality is. Now this isn't an easy one. Okay, what is our print personality in JMIA? We're going to do a bunch of examples so we can get this done. 4 is way too high. Why is 4 way too high? Well, I'll tell you right now. If we actually look through the time and sales, how many bursts of 4 do we actually get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this obviously is above print personality, but how many bursts of 4 actually are there? So is 4 too high? Yes. 2. Why 2? Because most of the moves that we see, most of the prints that are coming out are right around 2. That's a perfect answer. Okay, so print personality here is 2. Let's talk about print personality. So print personality is 2. What does any prints under 2 or under mean to us? 2 or under, what does that mean? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I want you also to understand something. If the print personality was 4, okay, print personality was 4, and we got 4 prints, would we use those? Hell yes. Why won't we use 2 as an acceptable amount? What's the answer? Why? Why will we not use 2? Yep, anything less than 4 is useless. Okay, anyone here willing to take all their money and put it on some guy that printed twice? Anyone here willing to do that? I sure as hell aren't. I mean, you're talking about you could get 2 prints for 2,000 shares. I'm not following that person. Okay, so I could print twice and I wouldn't follow. Exactly. Okay, 2's not enough. 4's got to be a minimum. Okay, and not for nothing, but 4's the minimum. So if your percentages aren't as great as you'd like them to be, what should you do with the print personalities that you're trading? Again, guys, look. No, this one actually had a substantial pullback from 37.50, but if you look, comes right back because the personality showing us expect more, increase them. Exactly. So let's say you're a new trader. I would start with 6, somewhere around there. 4 is just the minimum. I want to see 4 prints. If I don't see 4 prints, I don't really give a shit who you are. Okay, that does that mean? And remember, there's always going to be exceptions to every single rule. Does that mean a stock like BYND? And obviously it's not trading whatsoever, but if I get 2 prints in BYND, are those okay? I sure as hell think so, because look at the print personality. It's less than 1. It's less than 1. So 2 prints actually mean a big deal based off of what's happening, right? Everything's relative. Always remember, everything is relative to the stock that you're looking at that moment. Okay, so in a stock like this, 2 would be absolutely fine, but we come over to JMIA, I'm not going off 2 prints. I'm not even going off 4 prints. I want to see something higher. But anyway, our print personality is 2. Basically, what the print personality means is an average market maker shows that many bursts. And why do I want to know what an average market maker? Remember, range. Why is range so important? It's just an average. So when something's less than average, no interest. But what happens when something's more than average? What does that mean? How do we take that? Something's more. Yeah. So if a stock's just moving and on average this is what it trades to make money, we want to know what's going on. How much bigger the actual prints are going to be that are coming into it. Okay, and it's going to make a lot more sense when we get to the 1 to 4, but we need to know what our print personality is. Everything's based off print personality. If print personality is 10 and you get 8 prints, is that acceptable? No, because the average is 8. That's less than average. I'm not following anyone that's less than average. That's simple. Let's say, you're going to start a business with somebody. You're going to start a business with somebody that's less than average, because that's all this is our business. Trading is just a business. That's simple. Okay? No, you're not going to start a business with someone that's less than average, because then they suck. So we need to see someone that doesn't suck, which is greater than average. Okay? But knowing print personalities. Let's do a few examples. Let's pull up FSR for a second. What's its print personality? Now, also remember, is print personality need to be exact? Do I want you to come and average out and use a calculator and notes to find the print personality? Is that what I want you to do? No, hell no. That's impossible. You want to be able to just look at it. So just looking at this, what's our print personality? I know the number. So 4 is a little high. Why is 4 a little bit high? Because if you look, how many times has it actually printed 4 or over prints? For the most part, it's a little bit less. Yeah, 3. My number's 3. Now, if my number's 3 and your number's 4, is that a big deal? And Tracy, Tracy, I'm getting there right this second. Tracy just said I thought the better would be higher. No. Can you go wrong being higher? Can you go wrong being higher? You can't. Why? Well, now you're just looking for more. You might miss trades. Like, for instance, if I thought the print personality here was 5, even though it's not, guess what? I'm going to need more prints. The more prints you have, the better off you are. So God bless. All right. But we need to understand something. Okay. Is that we need to have that benchmark. That benchmark makes all of our decisions happen. Without that benchmark, there's absolutely nothing that we can do. So here we would be about 3. Let's just pull up anything. ELYS as it's coming up. What's its print personality here? And you should be able to just go like this. As you're scanning, you don't need to sit there and really look. What's its print personality? 3. Number I had in my head. Perfect. Let's bring up something like, it's gonna be hard because there's not a lot of trading going on. What's ANPCs? What's our print personality here? Remember, we just want to go quick. Give or take, it is what? What do we think? Don't forget to take into account everything that you're seeing, because if you look at these are some really nice bursts that were happening, followed by more nice bursts. So on average, it's about what? Sorry for rookie. How are you seeing the number of prints? Bursts. Okay, so when I look here, I look at this as just a burst. Okay, I look at this as a burst. Okay, I look at this as a burst. I look at this as a burst. It's just just bursts of prints near the same and happening near the same timeline. Doesn't mean they all have to happen at once, but what kind of burst are we seeing? Yeah, my number is 4. If you said 5, are you wrong? No. The reason I say 4 instead of 5 is just because you could see it started going down a bunch. So we started having a lot of like singles, 2s, and 3s. That's the only reason I said 4. But guess what? If your answer was 5, are you wrong? Excuse me. If your answer was 5, are you wrong? No, absolutely not. Because it could be 5 if we actually averaged it out. It's no big deal. You really, as long as you're within 2, you're fine. Okay, and it needs to be over 4. Excuse me. Hold on one second, guys. All right, I think I'm back. Okay, so yes, higher is safer. Okay, you could go wrong not having enough prints. You can't go wrong having too many prints. Does anybody want to do more examples of what the print personality is within stocks? Let's do one more as I choke here to death. Perfect. Perfect. Let's do PLTR. Love that. What's PLTR? What do we think? So 3 to 4, is that possible? Too low. Absolutely too low. Reason being, look at the burst. We know, guys, when there's volume this thing's going to burst too. And to a certain extent, print personality is pretty important. But I want to ask you a question here. So, Matty, you said 3 to 4. In a stock like PLTR, are you going to follow 3 to 4 prints? Personally, would you follow? No, you wouldn't, right? Yeah, it's got to be more than 5. I'll get to what my number is in a second. But yeah, you wouldn't follow that, right? So print personality should be the average number of people you would follow, okay? Or basically just the average that they're trading. But if it was only 3 to 4 in a stock like PLTR, that means nothing. Like, for instance, we just had 28.28 that sold right here at what that 28.25. I don't care about this. I would need a lot more bursts of that in, spots of 3 to even think about it. But you know what I'm saying? Okay, so betweeners, how do we, that's Matt, that's a great point. How do we take tweeners? Because there's so many different stocks. We see so much that happens that comes in between. How do we take that? Because remember, as we're actually trading, can we pay attention to in between? Do they tell us any direction? No, they tell us that somebody's buying or selling at a certain point. So if we get a huge amount there, can it become a level? It absolutely can. Do we take the in-between print into account when we're talking about our print personality? No. Okay, obviously the answer is no, because we don't know anything about that. First of all, it's very hard. Has anyone ever, it does happen every once in a while, but has anyone ever seen in between prints that are all the same price in big bursts? For instance, if you look right here, okay, let's just say, okay, just popped up 28.091, 0.952, 10, 10.69, 10. You see what I'm saying right there? Yeah, so rarely you're going to see that. That doesn't help us, because if we see a burst of 5 things that are all different prices, does that really mean much to us? Can we interpret that to really mean anything to us? And unfortunately, the answer is no. Just it can't be done. So we ignore those. Green and red, that's it. Green and red, okay. Yellow and purple, do those matter? Same type of deal. Do yellow and purple matter? No, because if someone's buying above the ask or below the bid, are they average? Well, they either really suck or they're really smart, one or the other. But we don't use those because we want to just see what are the average people that are trading. Okay, are we clear with print personality? Are we clear? If anyone is, then we can do more examples, because without understanding this, you cannot move forward. Do not hesitate. Some of you guys have heard this a million times. Some of you have never heard this before. So if you're not good, tell me. Do not feel bad. Okay, I will not pay your bills. No one else in here will pay your bills. Would never mind more. Okay, let's go. Let's do a few more. Let's go to Moho, which we're not going to because we would never even look at this as a trade. WYY. Ugh, ugly, but what do we got here? On average, what's print personality? 2. Perfect. So the reason 3 would be impossible, because remember, it's an average. So if you look here, I want you to understand something. If your number, okay, we have 1 out of this whole, and guess what? I don't need to know everything, because do I give a shit what the print personality was this morning at 9:30 when I'm looking at a stock? Do I care anything about 9:30 this morning what the print personality in WYY was? Nope, means nothing. That's why all you got to do is scroll down this list. But if we look, you have 1 burst of 3, 2 bursts of 3 out of this whole pages. So technically, can it be 3? Don't we take print personality and 1 to the number? Well, you could add 1 to the number, Keith. So the thing is, you're not adding 1 to the number. What's happening is that if you're within 1, you're fine. You know, if you're 3 or 4. If you think it's 12 and it's 3, then that's where we have problems. But the thing is that you can't go wrong thinking it's too much. So when we look at print personality, 3 is basically the biggest burst. We have 2 of them throughout this entire thing. Okay, most of the prints are in 1s, but you have those 3s, and then you have a bunch of 2s that come in. So 2, but you could call it 3. I don't give a shit which one you call it. Both you're correct, because we're not going to sit here and we're not going to average. We're going to eye it. Because do I have 30 minutes to find a print personality before I look for a trade after seeing prints? Do I have 30 minutes to do that? Or however long it would take you to average out every single print? No, it's got to be, it's at a glance, guys, and you'll get quicker at this. Remember, does everyone here remember the first time that they ever looked at time and sales, ever put it on their platform before? I still remember this day like yesterday. I can't remember when it was, but I still remember this day. Today, okay, so you're right in the beginning process. I'm going to tell you something. That's the best spot to be, because the fact you don't have bad habits yet. But of course, when you first looked at time and sales, did you ever think in any point in your life you'd be able to read it when you first started? Because I'm going to tell you one thing, I was intimidated as hell. It's like there's no way that people could read these numbers. But once you learn how to do it and you know what you're looking for, it's just so simple. It might look fair. It looks way harder than it is. Okay, but so that's where it comes down to. Okay, if the print personality is 2, okay, and you use 3, fine, perfect, golden. Print personality 7 and you use 9, is that a problem? Yes, it's got to be clean bursts of one color. So like for instance, okay, we just pulled one up. Okay, right here. Okay, this is a burst of 3. This is not a burst of 4. See the color differences. I want to see just this. This is 2. This is 2. Okay, we come up to here. This is 1 because the next one's a different color. Okay, right here. How many bursts is this? If we look at the burst, what's the biggest burst that we have here? Looking right here, 1150 to 1144 to 1132. It's 2. That's it. Because is it the same person if it's different colors? It could be, but it's probably not. So we're going to base it off of understanding it's probably not that person. Makes sense? Makes sense to everybody. Anyone, any questions? Good to go? Great here. All right, perfect. Now we get into some real stuff. Now these are the type of trades. There's 4 trades that we're going to look at. I'm not going to go through 5 and 6. That's something you can watch in the recordings. I'm going to talk about 1 through 4. Now, one thing I want you to put in your notes, these are not the highest probability of a trade that's going to happen. How do we determine which number of our trades are we going to use? I want you to understand this, because 1 is 1. It is based off of how quickly it typically happens, nothing else. Okay, does that mean that number 1 trade is the highest percentage trade in JMIA? Is a number 1 trade the highest percentage trade in JMIA? No, not even close. And I'm going to teach you what 1 is. Most of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm going to get into there. So understand we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of them are based off of how quickly they actually happen, not based off of if it's the best situation for a stock. So make sure you understand that. All right, does everyone have their pens and paper ready? I'm going to list them and then we're going to go out. A number 1 trade is ask prints above the print personality. Okay, so what I mean that, obviously, ask prints, and ask prints. So does that mean the ask prints can be anywhere? Or do they have to be at a certain spot? Controlling prints have to be controlling prints. This is what starts off how we're going to decide to make a trade. So controlling ask prints above the print personality. Everyone clear on that? Controlling ask prints above the print personality. Okay, I'm going to bring up this right here for a second. Well, technically it's the same thing, but I just want you to look at these prints. 35 before. Okay, if we look right now, what's the print personality in JMIA? Give me a number. What is it? And look at my prints. Don't look at yours of what's happening right now. Yeah, so honestly, I would have probably said 4, but really 3 is the better answer. The reason I say 4 is because I just know how it prints. But you're fine. 3 or 4, if you're either 3 or 4, perfect. We understand that. So what would prints look like above a print personality? In a burst, how many would it have to be above the print personality in JMIA? Greater than 4. Very simple, right? Technically, if the print personality is 4, above print personality is 5. Now, does 5 stand out compared to 4? No, it doesn't. Now, make sure, put a little star at the top right corner of your notepad right now, and I want you to write something. Okay? The greater above the print personality, the higher percentage for a pull up or pull back trade. Okay? The bigger the burst is above print personality. So print personality is 4. The more print you get, the better off you are for in this case, a pull back trade rather than a pull up. Okay? Ask prints above print personality. Expectation is building. In order to build on ask prints, stock comes down first. That's what a number 1 trade is. It is great ask prints way above print personality that our expectations are to short it first. So we short from ask prints. Okay, if I take my little pen out right here, I could show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's say right here at 34, we have a print personality of 4. It's not going to let me draw on the freaking chart. Okay, so a print personality. Yeah, it's not going to work either. Yeah, either way, doesn't matter. Print personality of 4. Is this higher than 4 right here? Stupid question, but of course, way over 4. So when we look at that, that's showing us building. Now, the stock does need to go above 35, but if they show this much here, what does that tell us about the amount that they have to build? What does that tell us about the amount they have to build if they're showing us this much at the 35 level? A lot. So a number 1 trade is ask above the print personality is a short. Makes sense. That's the number 1 trade. Ask prints way above print personality. We short for the building. Now, some of you might ask me, well, how do we know how much we're going to short? How do we know how much they're going to build? Number 1, my answer is I have no idea. Does anyone in here know how much Goldman Sachs needs to build in JMIA? Anybody? Anybody here? What are you guys making your phone calls to your friends there? Is that why it's taking so long? No, no one knows. It's impossible. But what, Mariola, very possible. But what we do know is how the stock trades. In order to see how it stock trades, don't care what platform you have, zoom out for the pre-market and the market itself. What increments does this stock trade in? If we don't want to short, then we sit and wait for the pullback. Absolutely. I'm going to get there, Mark. It trades in $1. So this 35 right here, how much can we expect to make? $1. That's simple. Now, as it moves that dollar, there's more information that we need. Is it a stronger pullback at a level, or can it? No, it's got to be on level. So if these same prints were 3501, would we be looking for a short? These same prints right here were 3501. Would we be looking for a short? Yes, no. No. Can you start a trade without controlling prints? Eric, come on. Can you start a trade without controlling prints? Now, you're not wrong. Is it going to pull back if they were at 35.01? Probably. But Jesus, come on. You know better than that. They're not controlling prints. If they're not controlling prints, do they mean anything to us? Unless we're in the trade. If you're in the trade, that's one thing. But to start a trade, come on, man. You know better than that. Yes, Eric, you're going to have to go to the corner for a second. No, it's got to be at 35. 35 or 35.50 or 30. It's got to be at a whole number or at 50s. That's simple. Can you trade off 25 and 75, guys? Can you use those minor levels as controlling prints? You can to a certain extent, but they just don't hold as much weight. So no matter what, the same trade at 35 is a higher percentage than the same print at 35.25. So you can use minors. We just don't talk about it a ton because minors don't hold as much weight. So obviously percentages is everything within trading. We want to make sure that we have our percentage. Is everyone clear what a number one trade is? Perfect. Number two. What do we got? Now, number two, we have bid prints. Okay, at or above, at or above the print personality. So on a number one trade, we're looking for a move straight down. Okay, so these 35 ask prints, I'm going to look for the stock to come from 35, which obviously it did before, and then give us a trade straight down from there. Okay, that's what it looks like. Stock that's going up, ask prints, boom, down. That's a number one trade. A number two is bid prints at or above print personality, and after pullback, a trade towards the prints. I'm going to repeat that again for anyone, and then if you have any questions and you don't understand. Okay, so that means bid prints. Let's see, do we have any good bid prints out there? If anyone sees just on your scanners or anything, any type of bid prints, let me look real quick. Let's see, Candy, I had some before. JMI 37. Okay, I haven't looked at these prints in quite some time, so we're gonna move this over because I still need to use these later. At 37. Beautiful. What's our print personality in JMIA? 4. Is this above 4? Such a stupid question. Yes. So in this case, what we look for is a pull up, 37 bid prints, a pull up first above 37, and then a trigger back down towards the prints. Does that make sense? It's literally in progress as we speak. Absolutely. Okay. Prints. Now, why is a numbered 1 above print personality, but a number 2 at or above? Why is that? There's a huge difference here. Why? What is the reason that one is the other? So one is building, one is trading, and that's exactly it. A number one trade is based off trading someone to start building. A number two trade is to start with somebody making money. If you'll notice, both of them are short. Why are both number 1 and 2 short trades? Why? Say it, shorts happen quicker, guys. You have the stairs up, you have the elevator down. That's simple. So short trades technically are the quickest trades to develop because when it's time to go down, it's time to go down. When it's time to go up, there's float, there's this, there's that, there's a million other things. So a number one trade above print personality, ask above print personality, we're going to be looking for a stock for a trade towards the downside, okay? As you guys know from classes, this is clockwork. It's happening right now in front of your eyes. And number two trade is right here, number 37, Why is it okay for it to be at print personality and not above in a number 2 trade? Why would I almost rather it be at print personality? No, when we get to number 3, you're going to know why. But why is it better for a number 2 trade for it to be at time frame? Because if they show too much, it becomes a different trade. Now they got to build. Now we're going to get to a number 3. But when they show us just at, that's the average. So we don't have to wait a long time for a pull-up to happen. We know the pull-up is going to be fairly quick. Okay. In this case, the stock moves $1, right? What should our pull-up be off of these 37 prints, basically right at print personality? What should our pull-up be? What number would we start with? 50 cents, exactly. All because it's so close to what the actual print personality is, we don't need a huge pull-up. So essentially what that's telling us is we only need 37.50 right in that area. Best case is obviously holds this trigger and comes back down for the trade. Okay, because this is a trigger by definition. We have the prints at 37 on the bid, so pulling up, now we're just looking for a trigger back to the downside. That is a number 2. Makes sense? Any questions? I don't want to lose you. This is simple, but it also does get a little bit, confusing at some point. Is every person here black and white good to go? If not, I can go over something. I can go over it again. Good? Come on, type. Obviously, we're going to run over, but, why is it 50 cents and not $1? Because I'm going to ask you that same question from coaching today. What is pull-ups and pull-downs? What have they shown us in JMIA? Do they go the full amount, or do we typically only see a little bit? Only a little bit, right? So in this case, 50's moving 50 cents to the upside. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? So 50's acceptable. Is $1 even better? Of course, because the higher it goes up, the better our trade's going to be. But because it's only shown minimum, its personality is minimum pull-ups and pull-downs, we have to go off of that, don't we? How long do we watch print personality to work out the average? Literally, whatever's on there. Whenever you pull up a stock, go like this. That's it. Whatever you have on your stock. Don't try to, if you have a stock up for the entire day, don't go back the entire day, guys. Just pull it up on a brand new screen and just go like this. Scroll, because that's going to tell us the print personality right now. And does it matter what print personality was this morning? No, it's going to change throughout the course of the day. So we need to know what the print personality is now. How long do we watch a whole and $1.5 cycle levels? I'm still, if the stock is in $1, now yes, should it move more than that, than $1? Of course it should. Okay, but we're always going to be conservative. Okay, 50 cents here is very important because we know that doesn't give large pull-ups and pull-downs. That's why I'll accept 50 cents because that's what it showed us. Remember, we talked about the personality of a stock. Stocks move based off building and money time. That's it. That's the only two things that happen. They're either building or they're making money, one or the other. So we need to understand the personality of building versus, so we know they're not building a huge amount. So 50 cents right here is the exact number we look for. Because technically, and this is like one of the big things about understanding personality, based off of how it's pulled up and pulled down, Eric, do we technically need $1? Because it hasn't even shown $1 in most spots. Not even 35, and this is a big point. Not even 35 showed $1. 35 only gave us 75 cents or in there. And guys, like, can I ask you something? Is this clockwork or what? That's why I do this stuff live. I want you to see as it happens, this is how it works. This is how prints are read. This simple. I mean, come on. We're going over number 2. Perfect number 2. This is it. This trading doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. So are we good with 1 and 2? Beautiful. Now let's talk about 3. So those were both short trades. What do you think the next 2 trades are going to be? What are the next? They're going to be long trades. So a number 3 trade is a pull-up trade. Okay, pull-ups technically happen fast. Pull-ups and pull-downs technically happen faster than than a trade towards the prints. Well, why is that? Do you ask? Well, it's very simple. Okay, when it's time to build, it's time to build right now. When it's time to make money, you might not be done building. But when it's time to build, it's time to build. That's simple. Okay, you think anyone's going to hesitate and be like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to build the rest of this position 30 minutes from now. Does that make sense to anyone in their head? It's stupid. It just doesn't happen. So this next is a pull-up trade. Number 3, bid prints above print personality. I'll say it again. Number 3 trade, bid prints above print personality. Long trade. Why? Well, it's the same thing as number 1, just the opposite way. It's a long instead of a short. What they're doing is they're showing you so much at a level that what it tells you is that the stock is now needs to build up. Because if they're selling, which way is the stock going to go overall? If they're selling, which way does the stock go overall? Down. But in order to build, if the stock's going down, got to go up. That's why. Why, guys, is it above print personality? Why is that such an important factor? Why does it need to be above print personality, not at print personality? Can't be at. It's got to be above. And when I say at, guys, if the print personality is 4 and I get 6 prints, is that above print personality? Not really. It is, yes, by definition, it is, but it's still not, anything too special. It still gives us a smaller time frame. So when I say above, I mean like those prints at 35 in JMIA when the stock is only trading, a print personality of what was it? Of 2, 3, 2, 3. You see what I'm saying? So those 35 it drastically jumps out compared to what print personality is. 1 and 3. What are the best spots in the world for a 1 or a 3 trade? If you don't have this written down, make sure you make a star and you write it down. Psychological levels, a 35, a 37.50, a 32.50, a 30, a 5. It's all the same shit. I mean, I don't need to continue to go, but does everyone understand what a major psych level is? So major psych levels are the best spots. Why? Because most of the time when a stock's pushing, comes to a psych level, we know there's going to be games, highest volume, there's going to be within the stock, perfect time to build. That's why they work out so well there. This stock didn't pull back for shit, but once it gave those prints at 35, it actually gave us, like I said, 75 cents. 75 cents was a big deal in a stock that's pushing like this. Is this making sense to everybody? Does anyone's mouth dropped yet about how easy it could actually be? So, number 3, above print personality, we're looking for the long trade. Number 4, another long trade. Okay, number 4 is this exact scenario where we saw the stock at 35. It showed us great ass prints at 35, our pullback underneath, and then a trigger back towards the prints. That is a number 4. Number 4 can be at or above print personality. The only problem with these trades, a number 2 and a number 4, okay, is that if it's way above print personality, technically there's going to be a 2 or a 4 trade there. But what actually happens first if it's too big above print personality? What's going to happen first? Going to get a drastic pull up or a pull down. So in this case, all those bid prints, all those ask prints at 35 tell us down first. So we might have to wait a while before the 4 trade comes. Yes, 4 is ask prints that are pulled back from. So like in this case, 35 had ask prints, pulls back, then a trigger back towards the prints. That's what a number 4 trade is. It's the exact opposite of a number 2 trade, which has ask prints that it pulls up for, bid prints, then it pulls up from, and then comes back towards the prints. Now, I want you to understand something. What 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, they all have correlations with each other. If the stock is towards the print, what does a number 1 trade and a number 3 trade have in common? Well, what happens after you're done with the number 1 trade? What does it turn into? You're done with a number 1 trade, what happens? Turns into number 4, doesn't it? Because after the pullback, the stock's got to go towards the prints now. So a number 1 trade is the beginning part of a number 4 trade. So if you don't take the number 1, you have a number 4 coming. What's the difference between 2 and 3? A 2 trade is towards the prints. A 3 trade is what? So what happens is you get a number 2, or technically it would be a number 3 first. What would happen is you'd get a bunch of bid prints. Let's just call it 37 right here. Bunch of bid prints, and it did happen already at 37. We get the pull up first, which is a number 3, but it turns into a number 2. So someone asked me a great question, and I don't think I got to it, or maybe in Traders Exchange. I think it was Matt Fink. I believe so. But you asked, well, what happens after a number 1 trade? Well, what happens? Get ready for number 4. What happens after number 3 trade? Get ready for number 2. Do you see how they all correlate? Now, a building trade has no continuance. A trade on the prints continues. Reverse button. I bet you if not in my beginning of my career, if I had a reverse button, I might not be talking to you guys right now, but I bet you the reverse button, I couldn't use market, never mind. But either way, guys, are we clear what number 1 through 4 is? You do not need to know anything else to understand where a stock is going to go but 1 through 4. That's it. So we know we need to have our personality of the stock. First of all, we need to know what our trades consist of. That's number 1. Number 2, personality of the stock. Do we get pullbacks or do we get not? So I'm going to give you an example right here in JMIA. We have these ask prints at 35. Would this ever warrant, based off personality, a number 1 trade? So the answer is yes, but it's a trick question. Why is the answer yes? There's only one reason, because if it wasn't this reason, the answer would be no. One reason. Why would this warrant a number 1 trade? There we go. You know better. Psychological level. If this would have happened at 36, would I in any way whatsoever be waiting to try to take a pullback trade at 36 or, well, 37.50 is a minor psychological level, but would I be? No, I wouldn't be. It's only because it happened at 35. If this didn't happen at 35, the stock would have went like 20 cents and then just kept going. You see how that works? But based off this personality, we know even though these are way above print personality, not much we can do there. We could do it because it's at 35, but if this was 34 or 36, couldn't do anything. We have to wait for what number trade? Since we can't take the 1, what number trade do we have to wait for? That's it. Number 4. Pullback and pull down trades are dangerous but happen quicker and mostly the thing is our game plan. What's our mission statement here? What are we trying to accomplish? What's our mission statement as a trader through ATC? Or, well, you by yourself, but you understand. As ATC, what do we need to happen? That's it. We need to get as far away from our entry as quickly as possible, and don't forget, in the right direction, because you don't want to get as far away as possible in the wrong direction. That's not good. But yes, 100% on point. Okay, pullbacks and pull-ups happen the quickest. Why? As I just explained, people do not need to wait. Okay, if you're ready to build and you're show building, it's on the build. It's that quick. That's why in a stock like this, when with this stock it came to 35 and it pulled up all the way, 35, and then we came, So we went all the way to 35.50, basically a little bit higher. That's beautiful. because now we know the trigger, we have more room to get away from it. Okay, as a trader, do we ever want to have a position at the same spot as a market maker? Ever? When they show us the print, no. So if they're going long and we're going long, we want to be under. If they're going short and we're going short, we got to be above. It's that simple. But now, based off these prints alone, you now know how to trade. It's that simple. Now, are there different types of prints that come into it? Yeah. And if you watch the recordings of the last class, which I'm pretty sure almost all of, I'm pretty sure part of the package you guys got, you'll see there's a lot more that goes into this. Okay. No one could be trained and taught how to trade within an hour. Okay. Range is a huge part. Pullbacks and pull-ups have a huge part to do with range. Okay, there's different print lines that come. There's a million other things that come into it, but we're keeping it simple. All right, some of you guys that were in class, you could tell the rest of the people that were here, once you kept it simple and you started to look at that, is there really that much to trading? Those of you that watched the recordings, if you looked, I didn't give you really any more examples than exactly what the print showed. And I'm pretty sure there might have been one trade that didn't work out throughout the entire class, but I'm going to say out of all the trades, one trade not working out, God bless us. 1 through 4 work with the controlling prints period. Only exception stocks rely on psych levels, correct? No, well, an exception, all stocks are going to be affected by a psych level, but when you're looking for a stock to come back to reality, what's always going to be the best spot to look? Psychological level. Always. Because guess what? An exception stock's not in reality. It's flying high. It's up in the skies. But what happens? God, I forget his name. Greek mythology. What happens when you fly too close to the sun? It's gonna kill me that I can't think of his name. I love stuff like that. Well, that's it. Well, when you have wax feathers, guess what ends up happening? Icarus. Thank you, Donna. That's well, if you have wax, and all stocks literally have wax wings. That's it. So when you fly too close to the sun, you got to come back to reality. Unfortunately, Icarus's reality was hitting the earth. All right, but our reality is coming back to fruition. So we have to understand that. Any questions? Well, I'm surprised we're only 10 minutes over. Now, guys, I want you to understand something. If this is the first workshop that you've taken, classes are going to drastically be more advanced. We're going to start getting into more advanced things based off of this theory. Okay, but the last round of classes, if you're going to be in these classes, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're thinking about getting them, get them right now, because you have to get through the entire last class. I have about 6 months. Okay, the next 6 months of classes are going to be building blocks on the last classes we just did on this 1 to 4 method. I'm going to start teaching you about other things. Now, obviously, different types of prints that help us within there. We've already done that in the last class, but we're going to start getting pretty, well, no, it's still simple. All the theories will be simple, but guys, this will change your life. I promise you. I really do. I mean, if you follow these rules and you follow that, like for instance, guys, 35, we get ask prints at 35 and the stock just keeps going. Then we get more ask prints and it pulls back at 37. Okay. If it didn't pull back below 35, do we have a high percentage trade? No. If your percentages are low, okay, you have to make sure that you're following this to the T. Okay, if you do follow this to the T, exactly what we just talked about, based off of personality of the stock and print personality, you'll be 60%. Obviously, my goal is to get you guys above 60, but you will be at 60%. Make sense? Any questions? So it's a great lead up into what our next class is going to be, because we're going to take all this stuff and just start finding certain points that show us even higher probabilities of where the stocks are going to go, all while keeping it simple. This does not have to be hard. Will the recording be up this week? Yeah, I'll have the recording, probably Friday, to be honest. I just finished my cleanse. I'm not staying here after the market's done. Sorry. I already did a coaching and then a workshop. No chance. I got to be honest, right? All right, guys. So any comments, questions, anything before we finish up? You will use this workshop immediately, Donna, and Donna's right on point. I mean, it's going to instantaneously, every time you see a print, things are going to change from now on. Great. Is there any way we can have each other walk through trades next time? Guess what, Mark? Classes, baby. All so basically we have 3 weeks of class that are coming up. 2 of those weeks are going to be you guys doing the exact same thing. That's what we did last time. So we do that live. Going through something, guys. I'm all about live. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell anybody, and I say this all the time. It's counterproductive because it sounds like I am a salesperson. You need classes. If you're not in classes, you just took this workshop. You know what? Figure it out. Take classes. It's that simple. Ask David. David, we're willing to work out with people, but if you want to be successful at this, guys, make the decision. And it's not going to happen without knowing everything. Okay, there's more stuff that I've forgotten that I've taught in the past than most people know. And that's just one cliche thing to say, but it's the truth. If you go back, you're talking about you have recordings back to over 6 years ago from everything. And the funny part is, guys, those of you that have watched one of the 6 year ago recordings, does it change? Do prints change ever? Nope, not at all. All right, guys, apps, I'm watching 1 through 4, but as you say, those recordings gotta have live. Yeah, live is just one of those things that really it's a game changer. Just like I'm gonna tell you right now, we have our on-site classes. I'm itching to do an on-site. The second I can figure out a way to do it or somewhere to do it that everyone's gonna be safe, because that's obviously the #1 priority coming into it. I'm gonna do it because those of you that have been to an on-site will tell you within 2 days you can learn more than you've ever. It's just there's something about it. Just being live and actually being there is no better. So live classes online are obviously best. And don't get me wrong, guys. You can learn how to trade. I've had some students that became great traders just off recordings. It's just, it is what it is. It's just the more tools that you add to your tool belt, the more jobs you'll be able to do. That much. It's that simple. Underwater on site. We'll see about that. I'm not sure how we go. All right, guys. I'll be here for the rest of the day, but if I don't, talk to you specifically, have a absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving. I know some of you guys are in Canada or whatever, so you don't celebrate. But just tomorrow's such a great day to be with family and enjoy it. Don't think about trading. I'm going to tell you something at the dinner table. Don't talk about trading because it's just going to add up a headache. But enjoy your family, and guys, just be grateful for what you have. There's a lot of people going through a lot of things right now, and that's the word of the day is just grateful. Just make sure we're all grateful for what we do have. All right, I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.